Hi, it's Ghost with Combat Sports Supply. Today we're going over the Jag HDS Scattergun. Scatterguns are a series of gas-powered shotguns that come in a number of configurations, including stuff like this. Alright, so what do you get in the box when it shows up? So for starters, it has a very good manual in it. It also comes with 3 shells, which is a handy trait. And to save your thumbs, it actually comes with a speed loader in the box. Then there's this big chunk of metal. Well, this is your gas reservoir for the back of the gun. There is a shotgun in here as well, but it's a pretty nice, robust shotgun. We have our rubberized butt pad. This is also the thing that allows you to get this in the gun, and a nylon reinforced polymer stock. It does have steel sling lugs, front and back. That's the rear one, and that would be the front one. This bracket is also steel. Most of the rest of the gun is aluminum. Next thing forward, we have our safety, which is a button safety directly behind the trigger. Has an aluminum receiver, and the door does open slightly to allow access to one of the adjustments for this gun. Now, looking at the bottom, you'll notice a lever, this, and this QR code. This QR code actually takes you to the manual, which is super nice. As far as this lever is concerned, it will open the door, but if you look down in here, there's a tooth that if you pull it all the way back will eject the shell that's currently in it. So the spec sheet says these shells are 28 rounds. I have reliably found that they're 30 rounds. It would make no sense to have a 28 round shell in these. So you have a rear peep sight on these, and then a front blade sight. Next is the pump. And it is really smooth, but you do have to make sure you rack it all the way back or it will try and double feed the system. There is a pretty good chance if you do double feed it, it might break the internals of this. Now, unlike most of the guns we review on here, I'm actually going to start at the front end for the Airsoft specs because this one's a little interesting. So like a lot of the modern spring shotguns, this gas one does have 3 barrels in it. Now the difference between this and most spring shotguns, that little door I mentioned that opens up, that little tooth bit in there is a switch that goes between 2 modes, 3 or 6. That switch means that it'll either be firing 3 or 6 all at once. Now when it fires 6, there is a chance it'll load 5 or something, but generally it's going to fire all 6. Now, like most shotguns, in the real world anyways, instead of Airsoft, this one will start tight and spread as it leaves the barrel. Now just because the BB's spread out doesn't mean this doesn't shoot pretty darn far for what it is. I've hit people at 80 feet with mine. The good thing about that is, while it does shoot pretty far, it is only at 300 to 330 FPS, which means it's good for indoor or outdoor play. Unfortunately, that triple barrel mechanism means that it does not have a hop-up adjustment, it is a fixed hop. So the rounds are pretty easy to load into this. Once you have BBs in them, you just open the door up, take your round, slide it forward, and push down. How do you get the gas in the gun? This holds your gas, it fills from the back, it plugs in the front, but you want to fill it while it's outside of the shotgun. Filling this thing, I recommend filling it in the morning when it's cold, because there's no real way to purge this one like you would a pistol mag, but it holds a lot of gas, like 30-40 seconds worth. Now I know a bunch of people that run these shotguns, they fill them up in the morning, they run them all day. Unless you're going absolutely ham on the trigger, these things last a long time. First, we got to get the butt plate off of this thing. It's a little weird to get used to because there's a pair of buttons in here, one on each side, that you just kind of have to feel for, and then you pinch and pull the stock off. So you remember I said there's that big valve on the back of that tank that goes into the gun. You'll see the big brass bit down in there. You don't want to just chuck this thing in there or whatever. It needs to go in nice and smooth and then be seated. What I mean by that is when you put it in, it's nice and smooth until it gets to the back and then just push it down. If you heard it hissing a little bit when I first seated that, I've got it in now and it's not leaking anymore. The reason was I forgot to rack it before I put the tank in, so it didn't have all the seals in the correct place. Putting this back on is kind of the opposite of taking it apart, except it just needs to click in. So, as you may think, this one, while good, doesn't really lend itself to close quarters combat. There are shorter variants, like this completely sawed-off one, that would work better, and then there's even a shorter one than this that's actually designed for CQC. The only really major difference between this and the big ones, and all of the little ones, is they'll either fill here in the back of the stock, or they'll fill here in the front of the tube. Now, as far as my final thoughts on all the Jag Arms Scatterguns, I actually own one. I own the more tactical version of this with a shotgun rack on the side, but it functions just the same, and I love it. And realistically, as far as everything goes, most of you know the sound, nothing beats the sound of a shotgun racking.
Don't be a fool!